श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। क्रतुण्डमहाकाय सूर्यकोटिसमप्रभः निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्ये सर्वदा। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। गुरवे सर्वलोकानां भिषेपौरोगिणां मधे सर्वविद्यानां श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। व्यासमष्टनप्तारं शक्ते पौत्रमकल्मषं पराशरात्मं वन्दे शिवदातं तपोनिधिं नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। मूकं करोति वाचालं भङ्गं लङ्घयते गिरिमित्कृपादमं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवं नारायणपरो व्यक्तादण्डमव्यक्तसम्भवं मुण्डस्यान्तस्तु मे लोकः सप्तद्वीपा च मेदिनीः पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणे स्वयं व्यासेन कृतं पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीन् भगवतीमष्टादशाध्यायिनं बद्ध्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भेद्वेषिणे श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमः भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करम् अवतीर्णश्च कालट्यां केदारेन्दहृदश्च याचितः पीठप्रतिष्ठाता यथाच्चङ्करो गुरुः. Previously, we were looking at uh, 15th shloka. I think we concluded that, and then uh, in the previous two shlokas, we were looking at Bhagavan explaining that this karma cycle, that is essential for this world, the wheel of the world he was explaining, right? So from Paramatma himself, the Vedas came out. From the Vedas, the rites and rituals came out, Yajna came out, and from Yajna, because of Yajna, rain falls, and from rain food comes food, and from food comes the creatures survive and creatures multiply, right? Like this, the cycle continues, and then that karma again, devatas, if anyone does not perform that karma, they are uh, they are sinful. Their life is sinful. That's what we were looking at. I think we were looking at the 16th shloka where Bhagavan explains that evam pravartitam chakram nanuvarti yatiha yah agayur indriyaramo mogam partasa jivati. Evam means thus, Parvartidam means set into motion, Chakram means cycle, Na means not, Anuvartayati means follow, Iha means this life, Yaha means who, Agayu means sinful living, Indriya Rama means for those for the delight of their senses, Mogam means vainly, Partha means addressing Arjuna, Saha means they, Jivati means live. So, O Partha, he lives in vain who does not follow here the wheel of that set in motion. So we were looking at this shloka where again we looked at Bhagavan explaining that uh, this cycle that's set in motion, the Arjuna, he who lives in vain, who though competent for action does not follow it in this world, the wheel of the world, thus set in motion by the Ishvara himself on the basis of Vedas and the sacrifices, such a person whose life is sinful, whose life is vile. So he says that such a person who indulges in the senses and who has his sport or enjoyment with objects through the senses, such a person lives in vain. So that's what he said. So we were looking at that, and Bhagavan says that in the Shankaracharya in this topic, concluding this discussion, he says that the gist of the topic and what we are looking up to now is it says that action must be undertaken by one who is qualified for the action but is unenlightened. So ajnana adhikrutena kartavyameva karmeti prakaranartha. So that's what Shankaracharya says in his Bhashya. He says that those who are unenlightened and is qualified for these karmas, they must perform karmas. So the verses of this karma yoga, starting from the fourth verse, where Bhagavan says, Na karmana namaram, na karmana anaramba naishkarmyam purushoshtate nacha sanyasanadeva siddhim samadhigacchati. A person does not attain freedom from action by abstaining from action alone. So from that shloka to eighth shloka, where he says, Bhagavan says, Tam netam kuru karma tvam karma jyayo karmanah shirira yatrapi chate na prasiddheda karmanah. So you perform obligatory duties, and through inaction, even the maintenance of your body is not possible. So between those shlokas, from fourth to eighth shloka, it has been said, it has been proved that Atmajnana Nishta Yogyata Praptehe Tadartena Karma Yoganushtanam Adhikritena Anatmajnena Kartavyamevetyetad. So what has been said between the shlokas 4 and 8 is, it has been proved that before one attains fitness for Atma Jnana Nishta, that is steadfastness in the knowledge of Atma, it is bounded duty of a person who is qualified for the karmas but not enlightened, okay, who is still who is not enlightened, to undertake the karma yoga for that purpose. So again, in those shlokas from 4 to 8, Acharya here says that before one attains that jnana yoga, one reaches that jnana yoga, one attains that jnana yoga nishta, that is knowledge, steadfastness in the knowledge of Atma, before one attains that, a person, it is a bounded duty of the person. So they have to perform these karmas. Who is the person who is qualified for the actions, who is unenlightened, such a person must follow this karma yoga. If a person is qualified for this karma yoga, he must follow this. That's what Acharya says. Then he says, the shlokas commencing from the ninth shloka. So we looked at 4 to 8, saying that the person who is qualified for the karmas and unenlightened must perform the karma yoga. Then in the shloka starting from 9th onwards to 16th, the current shloka we are looking, where 9th shloka, where Bhagavan says that yajnarthat karmano nyatra loko yam karma bandhanah tadartam karma kaunteya mukta sangha samachara. That's the 9th shloka, where Bhagavan says that this man becomes bound by actions other than that action meant for Ishvara. So from that shloka, ending with evam pravartitam chakram nanuvarti yatiyaha agayur indriya ramo mogam partha sajivati. This shloka we are looking, 16th shloka, where Bhagavan says, O Partha, he lives in vain, and so on, where Bhagavan says. So between that 9th shloka and the 16th shloka, many regions have been said, right? Such as it pleases the karmas, pleases the devatas, and because of that, devatas give you and you give back to devatas. And also it secures the affection of devatas and so on. Many reasons have been given and have been incidentally stated as, what is stated is, anatmavidha karmanushtane bahu karanamuktam tadakarane cha dosha sankirtam kritam. So what is stated here is why a competent person has to undertake actions, and the evil arising from non-performance, that's been clearly stated. It's been again and again stated in these shlokas between 9th and 16th shlokas. A person competent to take action has to undertake, and if it does not, evil arises from those things. So that's what been stated here in these shlokas. So again, we looked at, for example, by pleasing devatas, rain comes, and then from that rain, anna, food comes, and from food people multiply, and that's why one should perform these yajnas for the devatas, and devatas will help humans, right? So the jivis, the lives. So that's what we looked at. So Bhagavan Prajapati previously said that I created yajna, and from through that yajna, you multiply. That's what Bhagavan said. Sorry, Prajapati said, right? So that's what we looked at previously. So here, what we are looking at is, and Bhagavan, through that shlokas, he says that if you don't perform these yajnas, then you are just benefiting from what devatas give you, and that's a sin. And similarly, he also explains that mogam agayurindriya rama mogam bharta sajivati. So where he also says that the person lives in vain who does not perform these karmas. So like this, it's been said between 9th and 16th shloka that one must undertake actions, karmas, if a competent person, and evil arises if one does not perform those nitya karmas. So that's what he said. So then what we start looking at from now onwards is Bhagavan explaining. So we looked at first part here. For the unenlightened person, karmas is must. That's what we looked at and clearly stated in these shlokas. Now what Bhagavan says and Acharya in his Bhashya explains to that effect is karma yoga is not meant for the self-knower, the one who has realized, who has enlightened. For such a person, karma yoga is not suitable. Okay, so karma yoga, we said just now, said that Acharya here clearly says that, explains that karma yoga must be performed by the unenlightened who is competent to take those karmas. Okay, such a person, karma yoga must be followed, and otherwise evil comes. Evil arises from those non-performance. But also from now on, we look at explanation where it says that explanation comes that this karma yoga is not meant for the one who has realized, enlightened person. So because the conclusion previously is that one has to perform the current conclusion, the question comes there that whether this wheel of the world that is set in motion, is it for everybody or is not? Okay, that's the question. Is it so? Whether that wheel of the world, which we looked at in the previous sessions, and now saying that one has to perform the karmas, and through those karmas one benefits and things like that, the world continues in that wheel. So should that be followed by everybody? Is that wheel that is set in motion should be followed by all, or is it only by who is ignorant of that atma? That question comes. That ignorant person is the one who has not attained that steadfastness, which is the practice of the Sankhya's. That is, Sankhya's means the one who has realized the Atma, and through, again, they have realized it through the yoga of knowledge, Jnana Yoga. They have realized it through the Jnana Yoga, and that Jnana Yoga is acquired by the ignorant through the Karma Yoga practice. We looked at again previously, right? So what the question here coming is, when Acharya explains that Karma Yoga must be practiced by a competent person, otherwise evil arises. The question comes is that everybody should be following that Karma Yoga, or is it only the ignorant who is not realized, who is not following that Sankhya's, who is not realized, who is not realized through this Jnana Yoga? Is it only for the ignorance? When that question comes, Acharya here explains that, anticipating this question from Arjuna, or also in order to make sure that the meaning of this Gita Shastra is clearly understood, okay, Shankaracharya here clearly explains, thinking about what our thoughts process is. He explains, he challenges, he puts this explanation saying that either Arjuna might be thinking that, is it for everybody? Yajnas, performance of yajnas, is it for everybody or is it only for the unenlightened? Or anticipating that question from Arjuna, or also in order to explain this Gita Shastra clearly understood, Bhagavan, what he does is on his own, he explains this. The Upanishad Vakya, he says that, he explains that, Yetam Vaid तमात्मानं विदित्वा निवृत्त मिथ्याज्ञानः सन्तः ब्राह्मणाः मिथ्याज्ञानवद्भिः आवश्यं कर्तव्येभ्यः पुत्रेषणादिभ्यो व्युत्थायत भिक्षाचर्यं शरीरस्थितिमात्रप्रयुक्तं चरन्ति न तेषामात्मज्ञाननिष्ठा व्यतिकरेण अन्यत् कार्यमस्ति. So Bhagavan, on his own accord, he is revealing out his own accord the Upanishad Vakya in the Brihadaranyaka what Brihadaranyaka Upanishad what is said. He reveals that he says that being what that Upanishad Vakya says that being freed from false knowledge by knowing this Atma, this very self, the Brahmanas renounce what is compulsory duty, because those having false knowledge with the desires for sons and so on, and then lead the sannyasa life just for the purpose of maintenance of the body. And they have no duty to perform other than steadfastness in knowledge of the Atma. That's what Brihadaranyaka says. So what's again the Upanishad, what Upanishad is saying is, once one is freed from this false knowledge, okay, this what's the external word, what one sees, once one is freed from that and one realizes that Atma, such a Brahmana, he renounces all this compulsory duty, this nitya karmas, everything, he renounces that. Because this false knowledge of sons, house or animals, cattle, whatever it is, wealth and everything, all that disappears from him. And then he leads that sannyasa life. And at that time, he does not have any duty to perform, because other than that steadfastness, that jnana yoga nishtada in the Atma, he does not have anything to perform. That's what Brihadaranyaka says. So having that in mind, Bhagavan talks about the next shloka. And also here, just before we go to the next shloka, 17th shloka, here in this shloka, what Bhagavan is saying also is, the one who knows the Brahman is excluded from the term used here, Indriya Rama. Indriya Rama means one who indulges in the senses. Okay, such a person is excluded by the word Indriya Rama. Okay, the one who derives the pleasure from the senses. Since that Ajnani derives pleasure from the objects through the organs, therefore, being eligible for the rites and yet not performing them, he acquires sin only and lives in vain. That's the idea of the 16th shloka. But the one who has realized that Paramatma, who has that Atma Jnana, who has realized that he does not derive pleasure from the senses. He, on account of being self-fulfilled, does not incur sin even by not performing the rites. He does not have any nitya karmas to perform or naimitya karmas to perform. And kamya karma definitely not there, because he does not have any desires. So such a person, by not performing the nitya and naimitya karmas, he does not incur any sins, and which are those nitya naimitya karmas which are previously we've looked at as a cause of the movement of this wheel of the world. Those, by not performing that, he does not incur any sins. And that's what Bhagavan explains, that those karmas, by giving up those karmas, he does not incur any sins. In the next two shlokas, 17th and 18th shloka, we look at that. So 17th shloka goes like this: Yastvatma rati reva syadhatma triptascha manavah atmanneva cha santushtas tasya karyam na vidyate. But the man who rejoices only in the self, Atma, and is satisfied with the self, and is contented only in the self, for him there is no duty to perform. That's the meaning. Yaha means who, tu means but, Atmarati means rejoices in the Atma, Eva means certainly, Syat means is, Atma Triptaha means self, Atma satisfied in Atma, Cha means and, Manavaha means human being, Atmani means in the Atma, Eva means certainly, cha means and, santushta means satisfied, tasya means his, karyam means duty, na karma, karya means duty, na means not, vidyate means exist. So for him, there is no duty exists. Now, if we look at the explanation for this shloka, it starts with two, but. Okay, but going back to the previous shloka, where said that performing the karma, without performing the karma, one incurs sin, right? Agayurindriya Rama. So one who is indulges in senses and not does but does not perform these duties, he incurs sins, and that's for unenlightened. So but if one does not perform the what the reason it's starting but is it's countering what's said there, but the manava, the person, the man, the sannyasi, the man of knowledge who has steadfastness in the jnana of the Atma, so Atma Jnana Nishta, who rejoices only in the Atma, not in the sense objects. Okay. The sannyasi who rejoices only in the Atma and who is satisfied in the Atma, that is Atma Ratihi and Atma Triptaha, so rejoices in the Atma and in satisfied in the Atma, not in the food, drinks, or anything else. Such a person is santushtaha, is contented only in the Atma eva, Atmani eva. He is content, he is contented only in the Atma. For him, there is no duty. Tasya na vidyate karyam. So for him, there is no karyam na vidyate. For him, there is no duty because duty with a view of securing moksha, and such a duty, karyam, duty, there is no duty to perform for him. So here we see rati, tripti, santosha. Okay, those things we see, all of them are synonymous, are used to indicate various types of pleasure. Okay, so for example, rati means attachment to objects. Tripti means happiness arising from contact with something, some particular object. Santosha means happiness in general arising from acquisition of some coveted objects and things like that. So he is Atmarati, that means he rejoices in that Atma, and then he Atma Tripta, he is contented, he is satisfied with that, and then Santushta. So he is contented. So all people surely feel contented by acquiring the external things. That's the normal. But this one, this sannyasi who has attained this realization, without depending on those things, remains satisfied, contented only with this Atma. That is to say, he remains detached from everything else. The idea is that here Acharya says that Atma tasya karyam karaniyam na vidyate nasti. The idea is that for a man who is such a knower of the Atma, there is no duty to undertake. For someone who has realized, who is enlightened, who is in that jnana yoga, for such a person, there is no duty to undertake. That's the meaning. So again, we look at this. So one more time, the one who derives pleasure from the senses experience, that is, for example, joys in garlands or sandal paste or women and so on, and the one who contentment in food, drinks, and so on, which are pleasing to the mind, and the one who's derives gratification by getting animals, sons, gold, and so on, and from the absence of disease and so on. So that's the person, one is the one who gets his pleasure from the senses, sensual experiences, because it is a matter of experience that in the absence of these objects that we looked, whether it is a gold chain or a sandal paste or woman or a food or a drink or a son or animal, whatever it is, okay, or absence of disease or whatever, okay, good health and things like that. Such a person, in the absence of those things, contentment and gratification in those who are full of attachment, they experience happiness in that contentment and happiness. But joy, contentment, and gratification are these are all mental modes revealed by witnessing the consciousness. But in the verse previous adhyaya, if we go back to Sankhya Yoga, 46th shloka, where Bhagavan said, Yavanartha udabhane sarvata samplutodke tavan sarveshu vedeshu brahmanasya vijanata. Right? So when there is flood everywhere, all around, what is the use of the a tank of water, a well, okay, or a bucket of water? When there is flood all around, what is the use of that? Just like that, this one who has realized everything, right? There is no use of him, whether it's a good food or a child or a gold or a whatever it is, animal or whatever it is no use for him, because he is in the happiness that is like a flood all around, right? So we looked at that. In that verse, it's been said that the man who has attained this highest bliss, this Paramananda, that is the Ananda which one gets, the happiness one gets when one has that realization, such a person does not desire the pleasure of objects, which he does not perceive duality, because it is very insignificant. All these things, the garlands, the chains or golds and food and drink and wives, children, cows or wealth, car, house, whatever. Okay, all these things are insignificant to him. Hence, on account of absence of joy, contentment, and gratification with regard to anatma things, anything that's not atma is anatma. Okay, so all these anatma things, with regard to them, in the absence of happiness, contentment, gratification, joy, and things like that, in those things, he continues to perceive directly the Atma, which is the supreme bliss and which is non dual. Therefore, it is through figure of speech that he is called, such a person is called Atmaratihi. He rejoices in the Atma, Atma Triptaha, the one who is satisfied with the Atma, and Atma Santushtada, the one who is contented with the Atma. And this is again said in the Shrutis as well. In, for example, Mandaka Upanishad, it talks about similar thing where it says Prano Heshaya Sarva Bhuter Vibhapti Vijnana Vijnana Nidwan Bhavate Nativadi Atma Krida Atmarathi Kriya Vaneshu Brahmavidam Varishtaha. So what that Upanishad says is, he disports in self, he disports in Atma, delights in Atma, and is engrossed in spiritual effort. This one is the chief among the knowers of Brahman. That's what that Upanishad Vakya says. And this shloka of Bhagavad Gita is in line with that Upanishad statement. The word here, cha, used in the, for example, Atma Tripta cha, in this verse, is used for drawing the word eva. Eva means only. The word manava, the man, is used to imply that any person who has become who has become like that self-fulfilled, but not anyone merely through his excellence of Brahmanhood and things like that. So it is not that, it is to highlight such a person who has self-realized. Okay. And also the cha in the Atmani Eva cha Santushta. The cha in the Atmani Eva Santushta cha, Atmani Eva cha Santushta. In that it is used in the sense of a conjunction. Okay. So that's the difference. And such a person, he who becomes like that, for him, there is no karyam, there is no duty whatsoever. It be it the Vedic or the worldly, because the grounds of eligibility is absent in him. That's the meaning of this shloka. Now, an objection might come that is it not that even in the case of man of self knowledge, the man who has realized, there should be rights and duties for self elevation or moksha or avoidance of evil, right? So, what we learnt in this shloka is for such a person who is Atmarati, Atmatrupta, Atmasantushta, Atmani eva santushta, such a person, there is no duties, right? Tasya na vidyate, na karyam vidyate. So for him, there is no duty to perform. Now the objection might come that even for him, he should perform this for avoidance of evil, called sin, or he should perform those duties for self-elevation. That objection might come. That's why Bhagavan says in the next shloka, he says that naiva tasya krutenartho na kruteneha kaschana na chasya sarvabhuteshu kaschid artha vipashrayah. So for him, there is no concern here at all with performing action, nor any concern with non-performance. Moreover, for him, there is no dependency on any object to serve any purpose. So here, him is addressing that person who has attained that jnana, okay, who is atma jnana, who has attained and who is in the jnana yoga. Such a person, it's addressing. So pratipadartha na means not, eva means indeed. So naiva here split as na and eva. Okay, not indeed. Tasya means his, kritena means by discharge of duties, artha means gain, na means not, akritena means without discharging a duty, without discharging of his duty. Iha means here, kaschana means whatsoever, na means never, cha means end, asya means that person, sarva bhuteshu means among all the living beings, kaschit means any, artha means necessity, vipashraya means to depend on. Now, if you look at the explanation for this shloka, here for him, that is the one who rejoices in the Atma, there is no concern at all with performing the action. That's the meaning. And the objection to that is, in that case, let there be some evil called sin owing to non-performance of that. Let that person have some sin because he does not perform. That objection might come. For that, Acharya here explains that no, it's not the case. Na akritena ihaloke kaschana. So here in this world, nor is there for him any concern. So for him, there is no such thing. There is no concern such thing with non-performance. So na akritena ihaloke kaschana. For him, here in this world, nor is there for him any concern with non-performance. Kaschidapi pratyavaya praptirupah atmahani lakshano va naiva asti. Certainly, there is no evil in the form of incurring sin, okay, for him, or in the form of self-destruction. And moreover, for him, there is no dependence on any object. From Brahma to unmoving things, from Brahma to any, from Chaturmukha Brahma, four-faced Brahmadeva, to anything on this world vision, for him, there is no dependence on any object to serve any purpose. Vyapashraya is same as Vyapashrayam, the dependence, which is possible of being created by an action prompted by necessity. Okay, so we are all dependent on something because we are attached to other things. But for such sannyasi, there is no dependency because he does not have anything to gain. Okay, alambanam kanchit bhuta visheshamashritya na sadhya kaschidartha asti. Yena tadartha kriya anushtheya syat. So that's what Acharya says. There is no end for him. There is no end to gain by depending on any particular object, due to which there can be some action for that purpose. Okay, so if you are expecting him to perform some action, he does not have to perform because there is nothing to gain for him. So again, if you go back to the shloka from Sankhya Yoga, Yavanartha Udapane, that shloka, like where when there is flood everywhere, what is the use of a bucket of water you are going to give him, right? If he is looking for water. So for him, there is no gain from any of these objects. That's why he does not need to perform any karmas. That's the meaning. Again, for him, the one who rejoices in the Atma, like we looked at in the previous sloka, there is no need at all to be in the form of prosperity or for moksha for any action, because for him there is no hankering, there is no attachment for elevation to heaven and so on. Because moksha cannot be achieved through action, moksha can only be achieved through realization, experience, right? So that comes from jnana, and action cannot give that. So in keeping with this, so again, this is said in the Mundaka Upanishad, for example, where it says that Pariksha lokan karma chitan brahmano nirvedaya nirvedamayannas tekritah kritena. So where it says that the Brahmana should resort to renunciation after examining the worlds acquired through karma with the help of maxim, with the help of the word statement saying that there is nothing here that is not result of the karma. So what is the need of performing the karma? So when one has realized that in that state, one has realized Atma Jnana, when has that realization, for him, everything is there. He sees that everything he sees or experiences in this world, it is not equal to anything that he is experiencing, that happiness. Okay, so that's what it says. So for him, such a person is the one who is fit to renunciation, such a person. So again, this is to say that that which is not the product of action, the eternal moksha, does not come from action. So the akrita is does not come from kritena, it does not come from action. So the negation of moksha being the product of jnana, knowledge, as well is stated by the word eva. The word here, eva, only, is used here. It is negated by that, saying that at all, it is negated by that, because the non-achievement of the ever achieved moksha, which the moksha is the nature of the Atma itself, consists simply the ignorance about it, right? So one has not attained moksha means one has not realized it. It is ignorance about it. And that ignorance is removable by knowledge alone, jnana alone. And when that ignorance is removed by the knowledge of reality, then the knower of that Atma, there is no need whatsoever to be fulfilled either through the action or through the knowledge, because he has realized that. For him, there is no need for any action. That's the meaning. Now, an objection is, even by a man of such a state, action must be performed to undertake avoiding the evil. That's why Bhagavan here says, na akritena. Okay, so nor does he suffer any effect from the non-performance. Through the non-performance of the nitya karmas, there is no effect whatsoever here in this world, here in the world, in the form of either being open to censure or incurring some evil. That's what Bhagavan says. He does not incur any censure in this world, or he does not incur any evil called sins. So Bhagavan, that's why he says, he states that the reason for all the, in the second half of the verse, where he says the word cha is used in the sense that because of that, because for this one, for the one who knows Nirma, there is no Vipashraya, there is no connection whatsoever with any object beginning from Brahma to all the objects that we see in this world. There is no dependence on this. The meaning is, the sentence is, there is nothing that can be fulfilled. There is no need that can be fulfilled through karma by depending on some particular object. Okay, for him, there is no such dependency. That's the meaning. And Sri Madhusudan Saraswati again goes on to explaining this a little bit further. He explains that, quoting a Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, which says that Nainam Krita Kripe Tapataha, these things done or not done do not trouble him. And also he quotes the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad again, where it says, Tasya hana devaschana bhutya ishade atmahesham sabhavati. Even the devatas cannot prevail against him because he becomes their own self. So that's why even devatas are incapable of preventing his moksha. That's the meaning here. And there is no need to perform of any action, even in the form of worship of devatas, for averting the obstacles and so on. That's the meaning. We'll look at further little bit explanation from Sri Madhusudan Saraswati next time when we gather.